People always talk about heartbreak like it's loud, like a crash, a scream, a door slammed shut. But in my case, it was quiet. A slow withdrawal. Like the tide leaving the shore and never coming back. At first, it was little things. Marcus forgot to pick up the groceries, then stopped texting me back during the day. He started coming home late without explanations. He'd mumble something about work, shrug, and collapse into bed without a glance. Our conversations dwindled from full paragraphs to one-word replies. When I asked if something was wrong, he said I was being dramatic. "I'm tired, Carol. You always want to talk about something. Can't you just relax?" It was the kind of gaslighting that makes you question your own sanity. I began to wonder if I was overthinking it. Maybe marriage just became dull after a decade. Maybe I was just too needy. But no. Because then came his parents. When Gerald and Lorraine moved in, I tried to see the good. Marcus said his dad's back was acting up, that his mom didn't want to live in their rural town anymore. I didn't love the idea, but I loved Marcus. I thought we were a team. The first few weeks weren't so bad. Lorraine insisted on cooking, Gerald set up shop in our garage for his woodworking. But soon, my kitchen was no longer mine. My routines were disrespected. My space invaded. Then came the passive comments. "This house feels more like Marcus now that we're here," Lorraine once said while rearranging the living room I had designed from scratch. Or Gerald's favorite, "Carol, you've always been independent. Maybe too independent." They didn't say it with rage. They said it like a doctor giving a diagnosis. Calm, cool, cutting. Then, one night, I walked into the kitchen and found them huddled together. They immediately stopped talking when I entered. I stood there, frozen in the doorway. Lorraine smiled. "Oh, just talking about paint colors. Thinking of brightening the place up." Without asking me. Without including me. Like I was a guest in a place I had scrubbed, decorated, and loved. But I said nothing. I smiled back. And that silence was the first time I realized I was preparing for war. The morning they told me to leave felt staged, like they had rehearsed it. It was a Sunday. The kind of morning where everything felt falsely peaceful. Sunlight came in through the windows. Coffee brewed. Toast burned. I sat at the table, scrolling through my phone, when Lorraine cleared her throat with performative politeness. "Carol, dear. We need to talk." I looked up. Gerald stood behind her like some judgmental statue. Marcus, sitting across from me, suddenly found great interest in stirring his coffee. My heart thudded. "Okay." She smiled tightly, hands folded. "It's about, well, Marcus. And the future." I raised an eyebrow. "What about him?" "He deserves to be happy," she said. "And we think, it's time you stepped aside." "Stepped aside?" I repeated. "For what exactly?" "For someone new," Gerald said bluntly. "Someone younger. A fresh start." It hit me like a slap. I turned to Marcus. "You're cheating on me?" He didn't meet my eyes. "Carol, it's just not working anymore. We haven't been connected in a long time." I laughed bitterly. "You mean since your parents moved in? Since they started whispering poison into your ear?" Lorraine gasped like I'd cursed her children. "Carol, don't make this ugly," she said, still with that fake sweetness. "It's better for everyone if you just go peacefully." My eyes burned. "You want me to leave my home? My marriage? For some fling?" They exchanged a glance. That was when I saw it, certainty. They knew I would leave. They thought I'd go crying, tail between my legs. They thought I had no choice. That was their mistake. I stood up slowly, calm spreading over me like armor. I'll be out tonight, I said. Lorraine blinked in surprise. Oh. That's sensible. I smiled. Don't forget to water the plants. They thought I was defeated. But that night, as I packed my bags and drove away, I felt something unexpected rise in me. Victory. Because they didn't know I still held the deed to the house they had just claimed as their own. And I couldn't wait for the day they'd open the door and find me on the other side, holding their eviction papers. Hotels aren't home. No matter how clean the sheets are or how fluffy the pillows feel, there's a sterility that reminds you, this place isn't yours. But that night, as I stood in a pristine hotel room, my suitcase half unpacked, I didn't feel displaced. I felt clear. Clarity has a strange way of arriving. Sometimes it's in the dead of night. In silence, when your heart finally accepts what your brain has known for weeks. That was me, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at my reflection in the dark TV screen. I wasn't crying. I didn't want to. The woman staring back at me wasn't broken. She wasn't pitiful. She was sharpening. I opened my laptop, logged into my secure digital vault, and retrieved a copy of the deed. The house, the very one my in-laws were now decorating for their son's mistress, was in my name. Purchased with my money after I received an early inheritance from my grandmother. When Marcus and I married, I never added his name. It wasn't spite. I just liked having one thing that was mine. I had bought the house. I had paid every bill. Decorated every room. Fixed every leak. Watered every garden bed. It was mine in name, mine in history, mine in love. And they had the audacity to ask me to leave. My lawyer was quick to answer when I called. Carol. It's good to hear from you. Everything all right? Oh, everything's perfect, I said. I just need to evict some squatters. She chuckled. Send me their names. We'll draft the notices. I sent her the list, Marcus, Gerald, Lorraine, and requested something a little unorthodox. I want it served on a very specific day, I said. She didn't even ask why. When? The day they throw a welcome party for his new girlfriend. Silence. Then a slow, knowing laugh. You've always had flair, Carol. Damn right I do. It was all over social media before I even got the invitation. Photos of the party decor, gold streamers, champagne towers, garden lanterns strung along the hedges I planted. A caption from one of Marcus's friends, can't wait to meet the new queen. Big night for Marcus, they weren't even hiding it. They were celebrating the woman he'd been cheating with under my roof. They'd convinced themselves I was out of the picture. That I'd just vanished into the background while they played house. Then came the group text invite. From Lorraine, of course. Hi Carol. Thought it would be nice to have some closure and invite you to Marcus's celebration. He's finally found happiness. No hard feelings. If you come, just be respectful. It's a happy occasion. The gall. The sheer, bold gall. But I replied, wouldn't miss it for the world. That night, I dressed with precision. Black fitted dress, clean makeup, red lipstick, elegant, poised, unbothered. I arrived just as the sun began to set. Music played from speakers in the backyard. Fairy lights glimmered along the patio. I could see Lorraine greeting guests with her usual plastic smile. Gerald stood by the grill, beer in hand. And in the center, Marcus. Holding hands with a girl who looked like she just graduated college. The moment I walked in, silence fell. A few heads turned. A couple of whispers. Lorraine's jaw visibly clenched, but she recovered quickly. Carol, she said, approaching. Didn't expect you to actually show up. Why wouldn't I? I said. You invited me. Marcus gave me a look that couldn't decide if it was shame, confusion, or fear. He had always been weak like that. A man who followed whoever cheered for him the loudest. The girlfriend blinked at me. Hi, I'm Riley. Of course you are. I smiled sweetly, then turned to the lawyer I had invited along. She stepped forward, pulling 3 envelopes from her briefcase. I believe these are for you, she said, handing one to Marcus, one to Gerald, and one to Lorraine. They opened them almost in sync. What the hell is this? Gerald barked. Eviction notice, I said calmly. You have 30 days to vacate my property. Or I'll have you removed by force. Lorraine's face turned red, then purple. You can't do this. This is Marcus's house. I raised an eyebrow. Is it? Check the name on the deed. Marcus fumbled with the papers. Carol, come on. You don't need to do this. I already did, I said. Now if you'll excuse me. I'd like a glass of the champagne I paid for. I stepped past them, picked up a flute, and turned toward the rest of the guests, most of whom were watching with wide eyes. To Marcus and Riley, I said, raising the glass. May your love find a new roof soon. And I drank. Behind me, Lorraine shrieked. Gerald cussed. Marcus looked like a boy who just got caught stealing candy. Riley whispered, you said this was your house. It wasn't just a party anymore. It was a reckoning. And I had only just begun. After the eviction notice dropped like a bomb, the party didn't just end, it imploded. Guests slipped away quickly, unsure whether to stay loyal to the new couple or not. Riley, the girlfriend, disappeared into the house. Lorraine raged so loudly that the neighbors came out to peek over the fence. And Marcus, he just stood there. Holding that paper. Watching his old life crack open while still clutching the fantasy of a new one. I didn't stay long. One final glance at the chaos, a nod to my lawyer, and I was gone. Back at the hotel, I kicked off my heels, poured a glass of wine, and took a breath that didn't carry bitterness. Just pure satisfaction. The next few weeks were wild, but not for me. I watched from a distance as their world unraveled. Lorraine called me over 30 times. Each voicemail more desperate than the last. Carol, you can't do this to your family. Carol, please think about what you're doing. We have nowhere else to go. Carol. I'm sorry, okay? We didn't mean to hurt you, that last one made me laugh. They didn't mean to hurt me. Just erase me. Humiliate me. Push me out of a life I built and hand it to someone else. Marcus finally texted, can we talk? No, we could not. I ignored them all. But I wasn't idle. My lawyer filed a formal court notice so there would be no delays. I instructed a moving company to be on standby for the 30th day. I even visited my house, a couple of times, just to check for damage. The audacity of these people. They rearranged my living room. Tore down my art. Threw out personal photos. Riley had even converted my study into a content room for her makeup tutorials. I found ring lights, backdrops, and fake followers projected on an iPad. She was living like she owned the place. But they never changed the locks. Why would they? They didn't expect the ground to fall from under them. Day 30 came on a Sunday. A poetic choice. The morning was quiet, but not for long. I pulled up in a black SUV, lawyer with me, camera crew hired to document the move, purely for legal purposes. But hey, if it ended up going viral, I wasn't complaining. Marcus opened the door in pajama pants, hair disheveled. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Carol, he said, eyes wide. Wait. Just give me more time. You had 30 days, I said. The notice was clear. And yet you didn't even pack. Gerald came storming in from the kitchen. You can't kick us out. We have rights. My lawyer stepped forward. No, Mr. Wells. You had privileges, as long as the homeowner allowed it. That homeowner is Carol. Your son's name was never on the deed. This house belongs solely to her. Lorraine appeared next, dragging a half-packed suitcase. This is inhumane. Throwing out your family like trash. No, I said coolly. You did that when you threw me out to make room for someone new. Speak of the devil, Riley came downstairs, all fake lashes and confusion. Wait. You're really evicting us? Did you think I was bluffing? She scoffed. You're just bitter because he chose me. No, sweetheart, I said, I'm victorious because I chose myself. The movers arrived on cue. Pack everything that's not bolted down and not legally mine, I instructed. They have 2 hours. The movers were efficient. Lorraine cried the whole time. Gerald kept barking about suing me. Marcus tried once to grab my arm. I shook him off. You made your choice, I said. Now live with it, somewhere else. They piled into a car by dusk, for broken people who had once treated me like a disposable shadow. Now homeless, furious, and irrelevant. I walked through every room once they were gone. Silence, dust, and mine. I called the locksmith. Changed every lock. Then hired a cleaning crew and interior designer. If I was going to reclaim my life, I wanted it redone. Reinvented. Purified of every memory they'd tainted. That night, I sat alone in my kitchen, sipping tea as the moonlight spilled in through the clean glass windows. No more pretending. No more asking for respect. I had taken it back. On my terms. And I wasn't done yet. The next morning, I stood in the foyer of my house, barefoot, warm coffee in hand, and for the first time in what felt like years, it was quiet. Not the awkward silence of being ignored, not the tension-soaked hush after an argument, but a peaceful stillness. My stillness. The air even smelled different. No more cheap cologne, no more Riley's perfume clouding the halls, no more Lorraine's cooking taking over the kitchen I built from scratch. Just lemon polish and fresh possibility. I walked slowly through the house like I was seeing it for the first time. The master bedroom that had once felt like a grave of a marriage was empty now. Blank walls. Bare mattress. It was perfect, a clean canvas. A few hours later, the interior designer arrived. I gave her one instruction: make this house reflect me. Not what a man wanted, not what a mother-in-law expected, not what a new girlfriend would fake for likes. And oh, did she deliver. Rich earth tones, textured fabrics, elegant touches of green and gold. The guest room? Turned into a library and reading nook. The dining room? Revamped into a hosting space for intimate dinners and celebrations, the ones that I would choose. The content room Riley made? Gutted. Transformed into a meditation and yoga sanctuary. This house wasn't just reclaimed. It was reborn. And so was I, but there was still one thing left undone. Marcus had sent a few more messages, half-hearted apologies, veiled accusations, and finally, a request to meet. I agreed. At a cafe. Neutral territory. Public place. I wore a fitted navy pantsuit, crisp white shirt, red lipstick, the version of me he never appreciated but now couldn't stop staring at. He looked tired. Gray. Hollow. Carol, he started. I messed up. I tilted my head, non-committal. Did you come here to state the obvious? He sighed. I never meant for it to go this far. Mom and Dad. They pushed it. Riley was just something different. I thought I needed it. And now? I asked. I want to fix things. I chuckled. No, Marcus. You want comfort again. Familiarity. A roof. Maybe a backup plan. He looked wounded. That's not fair, no, I interrupted. What wasn't fair was asking me to leave my own home so you could play house with someone younger. What wasn't fair was treating me like disposable property. What's happening now? That's karma. And I'm done saving people from it. I stood, dropped a 50 on the table. We're not getting back together, Marcus. You didn't just lose a wife, you lost your anchor. Your home. Your easy life. I hope Riley's eyeliner sponsorships are enough to pay for rent. I walked away. And I didn't look back. Months passed. Last I heard, they were living in a rental across town. Riley left him a few weeks after the eviction. Lorraine tried to make amends, but I didn't answer. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt, they were meant to burn and light the way forward. People think revenge is loud, messy, explosive. But the best kind? Is silent, strategic, legal, and final.